Have you ever been at home or in the office drinking a god-awful cup of coffee and thought, man, why does my coffee suck? Well, I'm here to answer that question and teach you how to brew hipster coffee shop quality level coffee at home without breaking the bank. Let's do it. If you like fun, funny videos that help you cook better, eat better, and live better, make sure to hit that subscribe button and the bell icon so you don't miss a single episode. So this video is aimed at coffee drinkers who love coffee and really want to up their coffee game, but don't know how. Now this is going to be a little bit different than other how to make your coffee better videos out there, because I'm not going to tell you to order an $800 espresso machine or dive right into a complicated brewing process. Because hey, maybe you want to make amazing coffee like the kind they charge $5 for at that hipster coffee shop down the street, or maybe you just want to make your coffee just a little bit better. We're going to go all the way from slightly better coffee to coffee that you could charge $5 per cup at one of those coffee shops with Edison bulbs that only plays jazz and really hip music and everyone's dressed in plaid. So let's start making some good coffee, shall we? First things first, we got to address the elephant in the room, your Keurig machine. If you've got a Keurig machine and you want really great coffee, the first thing that you should do is take your Keurig machine, put it in the backyard, grab a baseball bat, and recreate that scene from Office Space where they beat up the printer. Just smash that thing to smithereens because the elixir that comes out of it is not coffee, it's sewage water. It's also really expensive. Ounce for ounce, 12 ounces of Keurig coffee cost $3 more than 12 ounces of the house blend from world-renowned, award-winning roaster Stumptown. That's like paying $30 for a steak at Applebee's. And I know it's convenient, but so are pizza rolls, and that doesn't make them any less horrible. So now you've taken the first step in your journey to great coffee. Let's go on to the next step. Believe it or not, the number one step you could take to making better coffee is not buying better coffee, it's buying a coffee grinder. And to illustrate why, I'm gonna use a pepper grinder. Okay, this involves a little bit of science, but stick with me here, I believe in you. Now coffee, like pepper, is full of stuff called volatile compounds. And I'm not just talking about the 5 Red Bull and vodkas my crazy doomsday prepper uncle drinks every Thanksgiving. Anyone? No, that's fair. Volatile compounds are what makes coffee and pepper taste good. You see, caffeine is just the tip of the iceberg when it comes to coffee. It might be the thing that gets you through your workday and makes a bleak and otherwise miserable existence bearable, and also makes for sassy t-shirts, but it's the volatile compounds that makes coffee taste good. Sadly, they react very quickly with carbon dioxide, oxygen, and moisture, hence the name volatile. When a bean is whole, like pepper, it's got all those delicious volatile compounds locked in there. But once you grind it, all those volatile compounds start reacting with the oxygen, carbon dioxide, and moisture that's in the air. If used immediately, most of those volatile compounds will go into your cup, or in the case of pepper, into your dish. By the way, if you need an amazing cheesy application for that freshly ground pepper, click the link right over here. I got an amazing pasta recipe for you. Leave it out for too long and you get the buzz, but that's about it. You know when you grind your coffee in the grocery store and it smells amazing? Well, that's all of the amazing aromas and flavors from your coffee literally disappearing into thin air. And this process happens very quickly. It can happen in as little as 5 minutes for drip ground coffee, and for espresso ground coffee, you're talking like 90 seconds. So if you grind your coffee too early, it's guaranteed to suck. So what can you do about it? Now you might be thinking, hey, I'm not gonna buy one of those giant coffee grinders you see at the grocery store. Or maybe you're not thinking that and I'm severely underestimating your intelligence, in which case I offer my sincerest apologies. Those things are like 900 bucks, and unless you're grinding 20 pounds of coffee a day, you don't really need one. And if you are grinding 20 pounds of coffee a day, see a doctor. Possibly a cardiologist, because that can't be good for you. We're gonna look at all the coffee grinder options from the cheapest to the most expensive. First option is gonna be one of these guys. It's a blade grinder. Called a blade grinder because it's got a blade in it. These are not ideal because there's a huge variability in grind size. Some of it's gonna be like a fine powder and some of it's gonna be really big chunks, which isn't good when you're extracting your coffee. This will all make sense when I get to the brewing part. But if you've been buying vacuum sealed pre-ground coffee, this thing is gonna be a huge improvement. So moving on up to the next level, we've got Burr Grinders. Now this is a whole different class of grinders, and if you're getting a coffee grinder, you want to get a Burr grinder. Burr, like those little things that catch on your socks when you go hiking. At least that's what I've heard. I don't know, I don't leave the house. And there's manual and there's electric Burr grinders. The grind is gonna come out more uniform, the blade motor is not gonna heat up the coffee, and it's gonna make a way better cup. So you can get one of these Hario hand grinders. Hario is this amazing Japanese coffee that makes really cool coffee gear. Kind of wanted to bring this out just to show you what the Burr looks like. You can see right here, it just kind of crushes the coffee in between the burrs. The closer the burrs are together, the finer the grind of coffee. You're gonna want a conical burr grinder, ideally, not a flat burr grinder. This one's conical because, well, it looks like a cone. But in all honesty, are you really gonna get a hand grinder? These are good for traveling, but in reality, are you really gonna manually grind your coffee every morning? What are you, some sort of 15th century yeoman? Are you gonna churn your own butter too? So we're gonna move on to what I think is the most practical solution, an electric grinder. Now, if you're looking for an affordable option, Capresso makes some pretty good affordable grinders. If you really want to go hardcore, you should get one of these bad boys right here. This is the Kitchenaid Pro Line grinder. It's not cheap, but this thing is a beast. It's sturdy, it's reliable, it's fast. The motor's all the way over here so it doesn't heat up the grounds at all. I've had this thing for like 5 years. I've had zero problems with it. You know that Kitchenaid stand mixer your grandma's had for like 100 years? Well, this is the coffee grinder equivalent of that. You know how they say they don't make them like they used to? Well, Kitchenaid makes them like they used to. You can use that one for free, Kitchenaid. Just kidding, please pay me. Regardless of what you choose to do, if you start grinding your coffee before you brew it, you have just made a huge leap in making your coffee way, way better. So now that you threw away your Keurig machine and you're grinding your own coffee, let's go to our next tip, which is probably the one that you thought would be tip number one. It's time to start buying better coffee. Now, in order to buy better coffee, you need to know what bad coffee is in the first place. Now, I'm not gonna go into every factor that influences a coffee's taste because that's another video, if not another series of videos. Everything from what variety it is, to what altitude it's grown at, to what country it's grown in, to how it's processed. But since this is kind of just like an introductory video, what I'll tell you is you wanna find a roaster that does not burn their coffee. And you might be thinking, well, why would a coffee roaster burn their coffee? Now, technically, bad coffee isn't burnt, it's just over-roasted. And there's a pretty simple reason why they over-roast their coffee. It's for consistency and to hide defects in the coffee. Now, the hiding defects thing is pretty simple. The worst coffees out there are made up out of defective beans. Maybe a bug got into it, maybe it didn't really pass the grade. If you roast it a lot and burn it, then you can't tell the difference between a bad bean and a good bean. It all just tastes the same. That way you have a consistently horrible product every time. The second reason, consistency, is the reason that Starbucks does it. Coffee is a super variable crop. It changes a lot from year to year and from harvest to harvest. So if you hide all that variability under a really dark roast, you're not gonna be able to tell the difference between Starbucks in Hong Kong and Starbucks in LA. The result is a pretty bad cup of coffee. You know that characteristic Starbucks roasty aroma? That's actually a sign that the coffee has been over-roasted. That's why I recommend you buy a blend from a specialty roaster like Stumptown, Intelligentsia, Blue Bottle, or Panther. Shout out to my 305 coffee people. Now, the reason I'm recommending a blend is because that's the most affordable specialty coffee that you could buy. The blended coffees are pulled from a bunch of different places and then mixed together to give that specific blend a consistent taste. Doesn't mean that it's bad, it's just not gonna have the unique characteristics of a single origin coffee. I'm currently drinking coffee from Finca Don Manolo, which is about as single origin can get. It's from one specific farm in the coffee region of Colombia that I visit in this video right up here. But if you're out about in the world, maybe at a coffee shop and you wanna just figure out if the beans are good or not, here's a rule of thumb that I like to use. What you're looking for is a coffee, depending on the roast, that's a little bit wrinkly and has a white vein running down the middle. If you look at Starbucks coffee in one of those big espresso machine hoppers, you'll notice that it's really big, really puffy, and almost completely black. That's a great sign that it's over roasted. Now, before all you coffee geeks go crazy in the comments section, I realize that really great roasters sometimes put out French or even Vienna roasts, which are really, really dark roasted coffee. Sometimes a particular bean lends really well to this style of roasting. But for the most part, if a coffee is really roasted, it's probably to hide some imperfections or to make some consistent corporate coffee. So you got your great coffee, you're gonna grind it before you brew it, you have just upped your coffee game like 500%. What kind of coffee do you regularly purchase? I would love to know. I'd also love to know how you take your coffee. This episode's gone on for way too long, so I'm gonna have to split this up into a two-parter so you can digest this information before the next episode. Make sure to hit that subscribe button and the bell icon so you get a notification when I post my next episode where I teach you how to actually brew this stuff. Until next time, this is the Hungry Gringo, signing off.